Inexplicably, it is a Saturday morning. Maybe that's because it's the day after Friday and it's 9 o'clock. Yes, that can only mean one wonderful thing. It's time for the Monster Magic Saturday Show. Let's do this.
Wake up, it's a beautiful morning. Feel the sun shining for your eyes.
Good morning, everybody. I hope you are having a wonderful start to the weekend, and I hope you've got some milk. Sadly, I haven't. I am having to drink my tea and coffee black, but enough of my dairy produce deficit, because I have managed to balance the deficit with some wonderful magic tricks. So come on, let's get into it. And first up, we have Jumper by Bacon Magic. Bacon Magic and Wang. I was on the Bacon Magic website for completely different reason, and Patrick Liu at Bacon Magic pointed me in the direction of Jumper and a couple of other things, and I saw the trailer and just simply thought, wow. The effect is that you have a card selected, signed, lost in the deck, and then through any various crackpot method you want, the top part of the deck jumps off to reveal the signed selection. You can even have multiple cards selected and have them jump from your hand into your other hand as well. I just saw the trailer and thought, gosh, that's really, really good. I actually do a trick fairly similar to this, using a completely different method with almost no gimmicks involved at all. It's not quite as much fun, or it's not quite as dramatic as this, and the gimmick is actually pretty sturdy, pretty strong stuff. Let me show you what you get in the box. So before I show you the gimmick, essentially, or as much of the gimmick as I can, you get the little ghost, so you can wind this up with a backwards forward toy, wind it up, that'll hit the deck, the top deck will jump. You get the little car as well, works in exactly the same way as the ghost. You also very generously get some bands, so if you want, you can make one of those little finger guns with the bands, or just flick the band at the deck, that will work. You can clap to make the deck flip over if you wish. You can hit the deck with just about anything. A Nerf gun is a really, really fun way of doing it. As Wang explains in the trailer, they spent quite a long time filming the tutorial because they were having so much fun doing different ways of getting this thing to jump. And importantly, the gimmick as well. So the gimmick is really, really thin, actually. So that's the gimmick there. It is bicycle rider back. It's only a couple of cards thick, and yet so it can kind of ride along in the deck if you wish. It is as powerful to flip over roughly about a third of the deck, and that is where you've got to learn a little bit and practice a bit with this gimmick, because once you're familiar with it, it is dead easy, and you get a nice feel for exactly where you want to position the gimmick in the deck. So let's start with, there's no force. Okay, so there's no force at all. That little couple of card thick gimmick does all of the work for you. It starts off, probably in the bottom of the deck whilst you have the card selected. He runs through the control, how to insert the selection, everything like that. And then he goes on about balancing the deck, because you don't want this thing to go off by itself before you've added any external force. And that is where Wang's teaching, is impeccable. And he just explains how to feel whether you've got it right or not, how to position the deck exactly so that it'll work every time. And then he goes through things that you might want to do by trial and error, or things that he's encountered, issues that he's encountered over the 10 or so years that he's been playing with this, so you don't have to have those problems as well. And if you follow his teaching, the tutorial is 25 minutes long, which for such a simple gimmick Really is surprising. And so he goes through all of the handling, all of the controls. I mean, I love just clapping your hands. I love just hitting the deck with absolutely anything. The way the deck jumps is super, super visual and fun and dramatic. Perhaps not as dramatic as the boom deck, if you remember the boom deck, which had the flash as well. But that was a much bigger gimmick, much harder to ring in and out. With this, you've just got very, very thin gimmick that you can add to the deck at any time during your performance, perhaps simply as a finale, and perhaps as an ending to you know, an ambitious card or another card trick, if you like. You can just slip this in, perhaps just cop it out of your pocket or whatever you want to do, put it on the bottom of the deck and go. So from that point of view, I think it's really, really versatile. So you're not necessarily tying up a whole deck just for this one trick. But I actually think this trick is probably powerful enough to do that. It's certainly fun enough. I don't know whether I'm getting more fun than my participants would. I haven't actually tried the 4-card selection, leaping from the deck into your other hand yet. As Wang explains, that does take a little bit of practice to catch it. But it is, you know, it's a pretty phenomenal ending to a multiple selection, I think. The gimmick is super simple, and you probably won't be surprised exactly what it is, but the materials that it's made from make it as strong as it is, and the craftsmanship is impeccable. It looks perfect to me, and really the only big issue with it is that it will eventually wear out. It could eventually break, but there is a very, very good tutorial on how to repair it, and they give you some of the stuff with which to repair it with. So I think this will last you for thousands of performances, quite honestly. And apart from getting the knack and the feel for it, which doesn't take that long at all and is quite a fun thing to do, it'll only take 5-10 minutes max of messing around. You've got a great little spectacular ending to a card trick. If it was just the gimmick itself, I would probably say it was a little bit pricey, but considering the fact that you get the 2 wind-up toys with it to get you going straight out of the box, you get the spares, you even get some elastic bands, I think it's pretty good value. Well, I'm buying a little Nerf gun. This has been Jumper by Wang and Bacon Magic. $29.99.
Everything's better with bacon.
Next up, it is Persona by David Jonathan. Does a month go by when there isn't another David Jonathan release? They are always solid tricks. This one, I think, is up there as one of his best for a few reasons. You show your participant that you have a personality test lurking in a packet of cards that all have personality traits written on. You ask them a series of questions, spelling their answer one card at a time, moving the card from the top to the bottom. After their final answer, they are given the card. You show that all of the other personality traits are negative. They turn over their card and it says awesome. That is one version of the trick. You actually get 2 sets of cards, and it's the second version that I much prefer and really knocks this out of the park for me. Anyway, for me, it's something along the lines that Chris Congreve might come up with recently. It is a really funny punchline. Let me show you what you get first of all. So you get a nice leather wallet. It's a simple leather wallet, but it is well made, it is strong. It's not that sturdy, but it will, when the cards are in it, it will hold them nice and safe. And it's got 2 sides, so you can put either test in each side, so you can decide whether you want to do the awesome one or the rude one. The rude one is really, really funny. The awesome one is a very, very nice thing to do. And you get this little instruction card as well for the personality test. There is a little sort of crib thing on the back of this if you need it. You probably won't, but this is useful, as David points out. You can put this in one side of the wallet, so you don't have to worry as to which packet you're going to bring out. So that's nice. These are the cards for the awesome routine, which is the one in the trailer. So they all say negative things like selfish and jealous and things like that. You can see they're all quite dull colours, and that is that is the awesome card there, which is obviously nice, bright and cheerful. So that's a lot of fun. That is a nice little kicker. It does put a smile on a person's face, makes them feel good. It's lovely. If you don't know the person particularly well, this is the way to go. And they're nice cards. They are all marked on the back using, I'll show you the backs quickly. So they are all marked, they are all marked on the back using Phil Smith's optical system. So once again, Phil Smith is involved. It probably says too much on the back, to be honest. It gives you the entire words that you need, and they don't tell you what's on the front of the cards at all. What they do is they tell you the secret to ending up on the card. So I don't want to give the method away too much, but if you know David Jonathan's profile, you'll get the idea. So you don't need to ask any particular questions at all, apart from the last question. So you can ask them as many questions as you like. I would go between 3 and 5. Any more than that, you're going to be a bit boring. Any less, it's not much of a mix. The real secret, as David points out, is to make sure they know exactly how many questions you're going to ask. It doesn't feel like you're just randomly going through until you hit the right thing. You're not jazzing it in any way. And actually, that's one of the nice things on the tutorial, is David Jonathan does give some really good tips on how to present this. You can have them do the dealing if you like, and he runs through exactly how to handle that, a little bit of audience management perhaps, and then he just runs through exactly how the trick works, which is very, very simple. He sort of explains almost every step of it, but once you know how to read the cards, you've got the idea. But really, you only need to read the first couple of bits of the mark. You don't need to read the whole word. So I think I don't know quite why they've bothered to put the whole word on it, really, maybe just for thoroughness sake, and because they hide pretty well in plain sight. There's no real heat on the backs. For me, they are slightly more obvious than other things that Phil Smith has done in the past. And then you've got the set that I favour, where all of the cards that you showed them at the start are nice and bright, and they're full of positive personality traits, such as loving and sincere and remarkable and bright, and then it gets to the one that they choose, which is this one, which is dull and not so nice, and is a great kicker, funny ending, particularly for people or if you've done a few tricks for them and there's a bit of an alpha male who can take it with a good sense of humour. I would go for it. I think David suggests not doing it for strangers. I think if you've done a few tricks for them, you've got a good sense of what they're like. I would go for it. It's just one of those things that if it hits, it is super, super funny, and the biggest laugh you're going to get all night. And I think that's what makes this such a good trick. To be honest, I'm not really a big fan of the mixing process, that sort of down under deal mix. I've never particularly liked it, even in other tricks. So the method is similar to profile. Profile works great because it's a whole deck of cards and you're dealing down. Because this is a small packet, I find that mixing not terribly convincing, maybe because I know what's going on. Maybe I'm just a skeptical old magician, but I don't particularly like that. But because the ending is either so positive or so funny, it flies, and it doesn't really matter. It's just a really entertaining trick to do. And the idea of a personality test is a great hook right from the start. It is virtually self-working. If your eyesight is terribly bad, like I say, the instruction card can help you out. You will want to learn what the last questions are, because that will also help you out as well. That is Persona by David Jonathan, £21, 50p. And obviously I have opened up that copy of Persona, so I'm not going to be selling it, which means what could I do with it? What could I do? I could give it away in a competition. All I would like you to do is to, in the comments below, just leave the one word that your mum would use to describe you. It's as simple as that, and I will enter your name into the saucepan for the draw next week. Next up, we have Ignite by Urbain and Gentleman's Magic. This isn't, strictly speaking, new. It came out about 5 or 6 years ago. I was certainly at Prop Dog when this came out, but I've got it in at Monster, and because I showed Stolen last week, this is how Urbain does the vanish for the ring with his Stolen, so I thought I'd just run through it a little bit with you. The idea is that it is a hand flasher that hides in plain sight, with which you can vanish, produce, or even transform objects with. As Urbain explains, carrying around a hand flasher is a bit of a pocket nightmare. You've got the flash wall, you've got the hand flasher, you've got to bring it out, you've got to ditch it, and so on. One advantage actually of a genuine hand flasher is the idea that the spark comes from nowhere. It's a hidden device. This doesn't do that, but it does make it much easier to carry around. It creates brilliant vanishes. The way it flashes is great for any visual production as well, or even the transformations he shows, and it's all hidden in a rather nice, beautiful object. Let me get it out for you. It comes in several colours. It is obviously a Zippo-esque lighter. It comes in a sort of gun metal. It comes in red, and do I have to tell you what this colour is? Okay, it comes in gold as well, which is this one here. I don't know why I have to tell you that. I feel obliged. So there you go. It looks absolutely like a normal Zippo lighter. The clever thing is it flashes. It's a flasher, but in here as well, it's where you store your flash wool. So you've got quick access to the wool dispenser. You don't have to pull this all the way out. Just pull it halfway out. You've got some new wool. You can reload it very, very quickly. Keeps your pocket clean. It's terrific. You won't end up with little bits of flash wool at the bottom of your trouser pockets. It is incredibly well thought out, really from experience and from him using it and going through various prototypes and various ideas and finding little additional things he'd like to add. And then you have the tutorial as well. There is a bit of a knack to the vanishes and the productions. Obviously, you've got to be able to hide the things in your hand if you want to produce them and things like that. But he runs through it all, and he actually runs through the loads as well, where he keeps his Ignite gimmick, where he keeps the things he's going to produce as well. Very, very detailed, really, for what it is. The vanishing is a little bit knacky, as is the transformations, but you'll have a lot of fun practicing, and it's really just about your finger positioning more than anything else. And he also runs through, exactly how to have your hand at the same height, not to mess around. The detail of the tutorial is very, very good. And even at the end, there's a little 1 coin routine, which is nice, sort of full circular routine. It starts with producing the coin from the Ignite gimmick, and then it vanishes again, supposedly, I suppose, back in to the Ignite gimmick. And again, you can add phases to that or take phases away. It's entirely up to you if you've got any particular favourite coin routines. Urbain also runs through the cleaning and maintenance of it all. If you've ever had a Zippo lighter, you know this can all get a bit sooty and a bit gunged up. So he runs through exactly how to clean it. Nothing takes very long, doesn't really require any special tools, just takes a couple of minutes. And that's just to ensure that you get a flash first time, every time, without fail. It is quite simply incredibly useful, very, very versatile, and absolutely gorgeous flash igniter. I think it's going to become a bit of an everyday carry. If you just want to produce something, even just for fun, it's a great thing to have in your pocket. That is Ignite by Urbain, 44.99. And now we have Absolute Madness by Craig Petty. Yes, I let you off last week, but not so this week. Here it is.
I just can't get enough. I just can't get enough.
The rants and tantrums that we all love, and I just can't seem to get enough of Craig. Yes, this is Craig's book. It came out at Blackpool. I think it sold out at Blackpool, I believe. I do know Craig, by the way, so before I get too much into this, just bear that in mind. So I'm going to try and be as honest as I possibly can, bearing in mind that I do speak to Craig once in a while, and he's much bigger than me. However, he did actually promise me one of these at Blackpool. He said he was going to give me one, and he didn't. So as far as I'm concerned, the gloves are off. Straight away, I can tell you, I'm not a big fan of the cover. I think it's a shame. I think it should have been a checked shirt or a load of tattoos, something that really screams Craig. But otherwise, the design is pretty much bang on. One of the nice things I like about it is that when you open it, it stays open. Nothing I find more frustrating than having lots and lots of stuff piled up on one side so I can have my deck of cards and my coins in my hand whilst I'm reading the trick. It has a really nice chatty style. It kind of talks to you. It's very friendly, it's very open, and the way the tricks up are written, there's a nice little introduction which sort of Craig explaining why he does this trick, when he does it, and so on. And that's a really, really nice paragraph at the start of every trick. You then get the effect explained, and then you get the method, and the explanations are really good. But the one advantage with this book over most other books is that you get a video as well. So there is a video of Craig performing at the Penguin Theatre. It's an entire show where every trick in here is performed. So what you can do is to actually just watch that show, decide which tricks you particularly like, and then go to the book to read up how they are done. But because there is a performance you can watch, it doesn't have to include all of the patter lines. All of the motivation for each move doesn't necessarily have to be explained. That's particularly interesting. I mean, I noticed it in sort of like the twisting the aces. You know, you turn the ace of spades face up, and so on. But there's no explanation as to why you might do that in the book. So if you watch the presentation, you'll understand it from that point of view. So the methods are very, very clearly explained, but to get the presentation side of it and the motivation side of it and all of the stuff that's quite hard to describe perhaps in a book, you get on the video. You get some essays as well. They're a nice broad range, but things I guess that Craig asks about a lot. What I like about them is that they are quite succinct. It doesn't go too deep into any psychology or anything like that. It's just very, this is what you need to know. No back references to 1948 publications on such and such. It's just straightforward, honest advice. Let me read out what the essays are. I think there's 4 or 5 of them. Making a trick your own, which is quite interesting. But I mean, one that really surprised me was how to raise a magical kid, because I'm not raising a magical kid. But if you read that essay, there's lots of things of just how to keep your magic alive, fresh, and interested in it. Just twist it around to be about you and your vision for magic, and you'll gain from that one as well. The tricks themselves are all Craig's style of tricks. Quite often they are a play on a classic plot which Craig has changed and modified, perhaps added phases, often added a kicker, sometimes just simplified them, and maybe just overcome a few problems that he didn't particularly like with the trick. They are all at least good. Some are very, very good. They're all going to give you a good reaction. Not all of them are easy. Some are a little bit more involved. You're going to want to be able to palm cards for some of them. You're going to want to have some good basic coin sleights as well. You will also need some gaffs, whether that's gaff cards or some gaffed coins. But it says that during the trick, says these are the props you need for this trick. There are plenty of photos as well to help you along. And I think it's really well laid out and produced. The chapters are quite clear. So you've got cards. Now look, there's only 4 card tricks there. Craig has reined himself in, I think. He's just giving you his 4 best go-to card tricks, which includes a nice little ambitious card. It includes cards across. Very, very good stuff. A multi-phased sort of slight ambitious card routines in there as well that I particularly like. You've got a few tricks on 3 or 4 tricks on the Mirage deck as well. The Mirage deck is a very underutilized deck, as is the Svengali deck in my opinion. I prefer the Svengali deck. But it's great. That's nice for a little bit of out-of-box thinking and to get a little bit more from a trick deck that you've already got. Then you've got the coins, which is really Craig's forte, and bit on split coins as well. Ball bearings, this is a nice interesting chapter, sort of slightly coin-esque, but it's very interesting doing tricks with ball bearings. I enjoyed that a lot, and a sponge ball routine at the end. It is also the only book I know which has another magician, in this case Ryland, at the end offering his 2 pence, sometimes criticizing it, more often than not actually suggesting other ways of doing the trick, enhancing the trick, maybe making the trick better in his opinion, or even offering alternative methods, alternative gimmicks to use. I'm surprised at how much I liked those Ryland's comments, and it hints at the fact that just because that's how the trick is written up, it doesn't mean that is exactly how you've got to perform it. It gives you a little bit of license to think, okay, you know, that sleigh's not for me. I don't like that bit of the trick. With Ryland's comments, it kind of helps you think, right, I'll just dump that phase, or I'll do it in a different way. There is a nice cross section of tricks in here, and in fact, if you picked out 5 or 6, you can go off gigging. One of the essays is actually called Marketing 101, so it also helps you to get the gigs. I would have liked perhaps a couple of more chapters on stuff using other objects. I would have liked a bit more of Craig's Sharpie work. I remember his first video of chop. I loved what he did with the Sharpie there. Perhaps a chop cup routine, maybe an egg bag routine. Maybe something with borrowed objects, finger rings, money, something like that as well. But maybe there is going to be a second book, who knows. But the thing I really do like about this is that it's sort of like a book for beginners. I don't mean beginners in magic necessarily, although if you are a beginner, it's absolutely fine. It doesn't really assume any prior knowledge, which is great. But for people who perhaps stay away from books, they're not used to reading books, this is a great way to get in to reading books. There's a lot of wonderful material in books. People will keep telling you that the gold is hidden somewhere in a book. Because this has the videos as well, because of how chatty it is, because of how well laid out it is, and because you probably know Craig's personality as well, it is a great introduction to magic books in general, and hopefully it will feed you and you'll be get off and reading books better. And what I will say about reading a book, and I'm going to say this now, is you don't feel you have to read the whole book. They're not novels. You don't have to get to the end. There's no "and then the butler did it." There's no denouement at the end. Just take each trick at a time. Just open a book, read the trick, learn that trick, have some fun with the trick, and then come back and read another one. There's no need to rush through an entire book. That, for me, is how I read a book. I might just choose the trick. I might read the book all the way through to start off with, just to decide which tricks I might want. Bend the corner over, that's the trick I'm going to come back to, and then just spend some time learning that trick. There's no rush. The big surprise for me is what Craig has left out. I think he has filtered himself incredibly well to narrow it down to just 4 or 5 tricks in each section. He could have filled it. We know he could have filled it. And then this book is quicker to read than some of his tutorials. He has been reined in. He's reined himself in, and that makes this almost a gold mine, almost hit after hit. It's like an album where you just don't want to skip any songs. That is Absolute Madness by Craig Petty and Ryland, and a little bit of Eric Tate for $44.99. Next up, it's the Roetgen envelope by TCC Magic. I've got no idea if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I said it quickly enough, though. I think I got away with it. This is one of the most surprising, amazing, astonishing things I have ever seen in Magic. I'm completely and utterly fooled by it. Not just by the method, but actually just is something that I never thought was possible. You give your participants 6 billets, each with a different thing written on them. They can shuffle them, they can handle them, your back's turned, you're not looking, and they can put anyone they like inside a opaque envelope that they can inspect. They can then take that envelope and put it inside another opaque envelope, which they can then firmly close. They can hide the other billets. You turn around and you can tell them which card they have put in the envelope. I mean, how clean is that? Every one of the props can be handled, inspected by your participant while your back's turned. They put the billet in the envelope, they put it in the other envelope. I didn't think that would be possible. I really didn't. And I think that's one of the remarkable things about this, is that they decided that it was possible and came up with a method for it. Let me show you what you get here. So this black envelope's nothing to do with it, by the way. That just keeps everything nice and safe. So this is the outer envelope with a little seal there. This is the envelope that the billet goes in. As you can see, you can't see through it. Can't see anything inside. I'm trying to show you the inside there. It's absolutely good. And this can be firmly slipped in place, so you can't see through that. And then you get the little billets as well in here. There you go. Absolutely nothing to see. They are all exactly the same. They're all exactly the same size. They're all exactly the same shape. There you go. And that's the props. Absolutely brilliant. There is some secrets here. I can't see them for love nor money. I know you know vaguely how it works. It's still completely invisible to me, to be honest. So clever, so exciting. It is so rare that I find something new like this. The one downside I will say is that it tells you which card, which billet is in the envelope. It can't tell you what's on the billet. So it's not a peek quite like that. So you can't have these handed out and information put on and you tell them what's in the envelope. You could tell them who put the thing in the envelope if you want to do a sort of slight sneak thief effect. But otherwise it only tells you which one is in there, which is why it's probably best that these are pre-written by you. And for that reason, I wouldn't use something completely open-ended that you could sort of ask them about, you know. So I wouldn't say football teams or drinks or famous personalities or anything like that, where you would normally have them write that down and you'd divine it. For me, it's something that's probably limited to just 5 or 6 options, because that makes more sense as to why they're pre-written and why there is only 5 or 6. So for example, ESP symbols, absolutely ideal for this. The ESP is a good hook. It is quite a good scientific explanation, and this is so clean. Honestly, with ESP symbols, you will blow people away. It is so absolutely clean. Actually being able to do it, this is as close as you're going to get, I think, to really being able to read someone's mind with that. Then, or perhaps even, I would perhaps have £1, £5, £10, 20 and £50 written on there. Say, you know, if I can't divine which amount you've put in the envelope, then you can have that amount from me. And then you've got a lot of byplay there with saying, well, you might guess I'd say 50 because that way I'd never have to give you a 50. A pound's not worth, £5 not worth winning, so it's going to be one of the others. You can have a lot of byplay with that as well, and that brings money into it, which is another great hook. So something like that. That is the only real downside, is that you want something which has only those limited number of options. But boy, is it clean, boy is it good. Even afterwards, even after you've done it, they can open it up, take it out and inspect it. You can go off and come back an hour later and they will still have absolutely no idea. It's mind-blowingly good. The tutorial is a little short at a shave over 7 minutes in the way only TCC can. They show the props and they show the method. The presentation and everything else is left up to your imagination. That is the Roentgen envelopes by TCC, £26, 50p. And finally, we have Oliver, the Magic Raccoon. This is something else I found whilst browsing away. Now, if you're not familiar with Rocky Raccoon, you probably haven't seen David Williamson. He's the guy who really popularized Rocky back, I think probably in the early 90s, late 80s, 90s probably, let's say. He absolutely brought Rocky to life. He apparently saw it at the top shelf of a magic shop, got it and just went to town on it. They are very hard to get hold of. Let me show you my original Rocky here. Here's my original Rocky. He's sweet. He's very well behaved. He's lovely. Yeah, food. I've had him for quite a while. He's very nice, and I've had a lot of fun with him, haven't you? Rocky? Yeah. But the problem is they haven't really been available, at least not a nice one. So I have managed to get hold of Oliver, Rocky, not quite Rocky. You can call him Rocky, but he is as close to the original Rocky as I have actually ever seen. There he is. He's a little bit fatter than Rocky. He feels lovely. He is very soft. Spring inside is very good. Tail's nice and long. Got a nice face. Got a nice look. It's as close to the original Rocky as you're going to get. You can see there is a little bit of difference here. So this, I mean, must be almost 30 years old. 30 years we've been together, Rocky. There you go. So there is a size difference, which perhaps is better. I don't know. I am absolutely in love with my Rocky, so that's why I got this one in. There you go. So if you are looking for a Rocky Raccoon, I think this is the one to go for 100%. If you've got a reason for using it, if you're going to use it in your shows, then I can't recommend this one highly enough, but it's not cheap. It also doesn't come with any instructions or anything like that. I know David Williamson does have a half-hour tutorial on his Rocky, or you can just watch him, but it's pretty self-explanatory once you've picked one up. I absolutely love my Rocky Raccoon. He's been around the world with me, like I say, over the last 30 years, and he's still holding up strong. I think this one will hold up just as well and still look just as youthful. That is Oliver, the Magic Raccoon, £120.
I think I ought to see a doctor. Oh, why do you say that? I'm beginning to like the show.
And that's it for this week's show, I'm afraid. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've tried to cram in more tricks than normal because so much has arrived all at the same time. I hope I've included all the relevant information. If you have enjoyed the show, please do subscribe so you don't miss next week's. But come on, until next week, the sun's out. Let's grab some magic, go out there and have some fun with the best hobby in the world. Bye-bye.